On the morning of April 30th, Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaidó appeared in a tweet calling on the people and military forces of the country to rise up against President Nicolás Maduro.
El cese definitivo de la usurpación empezó hoy. Contamos con el pueblo de Venezuela. Hoy las Fuerzas Armadas claramente están del lado del pueblo, están del lado de la Constitución, leales a la Constitución, leales al pueblo de Venezuela, a su familia, al futuro, al progreso.
He claimed that he had widespread military support and that they had already taken over the La Carlota military base. It was later revealed that the supporters of Maduro still held control over the base, and that some of the soldiers who appeared in the video claimed that they had been tricked into appearing on video by their commanding officers and did not, in fact, support Guaidó.
¿Qué fue lo que pasó? No tenía agarrado, engañado. A mí me trajeron engañado. ¿Qué lo tenía engañado?
Sí.
Sí.
Lo dijeron, ¿dónde se quedaban para el CNE? En el CNE llegaron.
¿Pero quién? ¿Quién los engañó?
Un sargento lo montó.
¿Cómo se llama el sargento?
Y el comandante.
¿Cómo se llama el comandante?
Comandante Sánchez.
¿Comandante?
Sánchez.
Mayor Sequera.
¿Y el mayor?
Sequera.
¿Quién más?
A mí me engañó fue el capitán Rivas.
¿Quién?
By the end of the next day, May 1st, Maduro still held power, asserting that the coup had been defeated, and he still held most of the military as well as the Supreme Court's support. Chief Justice Michael Moreno, during a call into a state TV station, said, quote, "I express my strong rejection of the illegal intention of a very small group of military and civilians who have sought to take political power with force, going against the Constitution and the laws."
Comandante, déjeme hablarle sobre el miedo que usted genera en muchísimas personas. En el exterior hay gente que le tiene miedo. Usted sabe eso, ¿no?
No sé por qué.
Bueno, primero, dicen que no es demócrata. ¿Usted está dispuesto a entregar el poder después de 5 años?
Claro que estoy dispuesto a entregarlo, no solamente después de 5 años, yo he dicho que incluso antes, porque nosotros vamos a proponer aquí una reforma constitucional, una transformación del sistema político para tener una democracia verdadera, mucho más auténtica. Si, por ejemplo, yo a los 2 años resulta que soy un fiasco, un fracaso, o cometo un delito, un hecho de corrupción o algo que justifique mi salida del poder antes de los 5 años, yo estaría dispuesto a hacerlo.
Politics in Venezuela, ever since 1958, have been left-leaning, but the international ramifications of the post-World War II political situation are now only becoming global. Here's a rough timeline of the most crucial events leading to the opposition making a coup attempt in Venezuela. In 1958, Democratic Action Party wins the presidential election in Venezuela. In 1973, oil and steel industries are nationalized. In 1998, after 2 failed coups, Hugo Chavez succeeds in winning the presidency and implements more socialist and populist policies. In 2002, a failed coup attempt against Chavez happened. He's kidnapped and then reinstated due to popular support. In 2006, Venezuelan arms deals with Russia foreshadow the changing allotments of the Venezuelan government. In 2009, a referendum abolishes presidential term limits for the 2012 election, and in 2012, Chavez is re-elected for a 4th term. In 2013, Chavez dies and Maduro, his successor, wins the presidency in a closely contested race. In 2014, the first set of sanctions against Venezuela by the United States are put in place. In 2017, these sanctions are further reinforced against Venezuela to target specific individuals in the Maduro government. Earlier this year, in 2019, Guaidó declares himself as interim president, using Article 233 to declare that Maduro is an illegitimate president, recognized as the president by America. In May of 2019, Guaidó attempts a coup. Here is the Trump administration National Security Advisor John Bolton outlining American foreign policy goals in Venezuela.
Yeah, well, we're in conversation with major American companies now that are either in Venezuela or, in the case of Citgo, here in the United States. I think we're trying to get to the same end result here. You know, Venezuela is one of the three countries I call the troika of tyranny. It'll make a big difference to the United States economically if we could have American oil companies really invest in and produce the oil capabilities in Venezuela. It'd be good for the people of Venezuela. It'd be good for the people of the United States. We both have a lot at stake here, making this come out the right way.
The U.S. government is wholly supportive of regime change in Venezuela, citing the fact that Maduro has imprisoned opposition politicians, most notably Leopoldo Lopez, who was imprisoned for his supposed role in protests that resulted in multiple deaths. The U.S. has also cited deteriorating living conditions in the economy in Venezuela for further rationale for regime change, as well as Maduro's refusal to accept aid not coordinated through international channels. The U.S. government has also taken a large interest in Venezuela's natural resources. Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves, as well as significant amounts of rare earth metals like bauxite and iron, which it produces 1 and 2% of the world's supply of, respectively.
There is a significant amount of debate over what caused the massive downturn that the Venezuelan economy has experienced over the past few years. Some economists have argued that the collapse of the economy was due largely to internal reasons, i.e., mismanagement of the economy. However, Nicolas Maduro has contested this narrative, saying that his country's economic problems are due solely to the sanctions that have been implemented on the economy. In reality, the blame for the economic collapse likely falls somewhere in between these ideas. According to chief economist of Torino Capital, Francisco Rodriguez, he says that, quote, claiming that Maduro's economic policies have caused the deterioration of living standards in Venezuela is not at odds with accepting the possibility that economic sanctions may have made things even worse. Most phenomena in social sciences can have multiple causes. There is no logical reason why Maduro's incompetence and misguided sanctions cannot both have contributed to the collapse in Venezuelans' living standards. To conclude, the coup that occurred on April 30th was only part of a long string of protests and counter-protests, and is not the first to occur in recent Venezuelan history. The coup was fueled by economic unrest due to both economic mismanagement by the Chavez and Maduro governments, as well as harsh economic sanctions imposed by the U.S. and its allies. It was recently leaked by El Banco Nacional de Venezuela that Venezuelans are suffering from an absurdly high inflation rate of 130,000%, which has made money all but useless, and made it difficult to purchase much-needed consumer goods. The narrative of regime change put forth by the American government is largely perpetuated by most mainstream media outlets, mirroring what happened in Iraq, Libya, and countless other countries. Dozens of people have died in protests while supporting the government or the opposition. Countless numbers of people died due to lack of proper medical care, which has been partially spurred on by Venezuela's inability to purchase necessary medical supplies on the open market.
We believe that Maduro will likely not maintain power much longer, but also that it is unlikely that Maduro will be removed by his own military forces, because the recent coup demonstrated that he still benefited from a high degree of support from the military, especially among its upper echelons. It is possible, but unlikely, that Maduro will be the target of a large-scale foreign intervention perpetrated or at least led by the United States. We think it is far more likely that he will be peacefully removed from power, either in an election or through an agreement with his opposition. We believe this because regardless of who is to blame for the economic hardships of the country, they would likely end in the event that Maduro was removed from power, as the sanctions would be lifted once he was removed, and any potential economic mismanagement could be rectified as well. Once Maduro is removed from power, it is likely that the country will undergo significant economic neoliberalization and privatization under what would likely be a centrist or a center-right presidency.